And we'll start, if Bob, you want to start with the question?
Yeah, it looks like maybe a lot of teams are bringing a few people in to try to get qualifiers. Or kind of, I guess, Chris, maybe you could take it first, and then Lance. Just how would you kind of categorize this meet?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those meets where, teams are going to bring selective athletes to Fayetteville to run. Usually that means it's going to be, for the most part, a pretty high quality meet, because a lot of teams will just bring their athletes that are close to either making their conference team or they're trying to qualify for the national championships. So, certainly if we were coming in to Fayetteville for a meet with our team, it would be probably a third of our team, maybe a half at most. And so that's kind of the vibe of the meet this weekend, which means that all these races are going to be really good. So obviously there's no team score. It's the week before the SEC meet. But there'll be a lot of great races for people to watch, from the mile to the 3K to the distance medley for our team, which is our only qualifying chance. I think Lance did it at the end of January. We're doing it now. So, yeah, there'll be some hot races.
Yeah, Lance, what kind
this is, I think, an opportunity to correct best laid plans that went awry. So some of our people that were lined up to get some qualifying done for the NCAA meet, for one reason or another, COVID or an injury or, a brain aneurysm in the course of an event. So now they have to use this as their last chance qualifier. And so we have a couple of key races where we're trying to either improve marks to qualify for the NCAA meet or improve qualifying or seeding marks for the SEC meet. So it's smaller in nature than most of our meets, but it's a situation where the quality is way up front, and there is definitely a last chance opportunity to take care of business.
And Chris, do you know who you're going to run that DMR yet?
Yes, I do. We will lead off Andrew Coubet, who has a best of a 3:59.5 mile. He'll run the 1200 leg. Our top 400 meter runner right now, James Benson, who's ranked in the top 5 or 6. He'll be in the 400. He split about 45 flat this weekend on our 302 team. We'll run Kieran Taylor in the 800. He's number 3 on the NCAA list, maybe 4, but somewhere top 3 or 4. And then we'll anchor with Elias Schemmel, who is our freshman that has run 3:57.5 in the mile. So we're loading it up and seeing how fast we can run.
And Lance, you mentioned a couple of events. Which events are those? And maybe which kids are involved in those?
The mile primarily is our focus. I mean, always the sprints and the pole vault are, our bread and butter. We have some people that need to have one more shot at a good performance before we head to Texas A&M next week. The mile is led by Chrissy Gear. Things didn't go according to plan at Washington, so we'll set up a rabbited race for her to get a qualifying mark, or hopefully a mark. And then Isabel Van Camp and Logan Morris also are going to run a fast mile as preparation for the SEC meet.
Okay, I think I'm good. Thanks.
Alyssa, did you have a question?
Just curious for both Lance and Chris, just the health of the teams. This is obviously a week where outside of those athletes who want to get qualified, you get some rest and can get healthy for this SEC meet. So where do you feel like your teams are health-wise?
For the most part, we're pretty good. Knock on wood going into Friday. We did have an issue with one of our jumpers, Ryan Brown, who jumped fairly well in the long jump on Friday, but had kind of a heel bruise type of thing on Saturday in the triple jump. So we're kind of watching closely for him. But other than that, just besides some general soreness or whatever, we're in pretty good shape. So just be cautious with who we run this weekend. It'll be a game time decision on what we do with some of the guys. And but we're generally in pretty good shape except for one guy.
We kind of have a mixed bag going on the women's side. Most of our key athletes that can, take care of things at the conference meet are healthy, knock on wood. But, we've gone through the COVID crises and we've had setbacks with little niggly injuries here and there. This is that time of year as coaches, we become ultra sensitive that, we got to really protect our athletes because of COVID contacts and COVID itself. So that remains a very sensitive issue for us as a team. If we can just get through this week and, hopefully not get a positive, we can, go into the conference meet with good health.
Alyssa, if I could add, I mean, our sport, it's at this level. I mean, it's an absolute sport. I mean, you're either at 99, 100%, or you're ineffective. And so that's what Lance is saying. I mean, I wouldn't say we walk on eggshells, but we walk on eggshells with our guys because you can't be at 85% and expect to be a conference scorer or compete at the national championship. So it's kind of an all or nothing, right, Lance? It's kind of an all.
Yeah, very much so.
And that's just the nature of our sport and how competitive it is. Where we're headed, and so it's. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess the closest thing you can relate to, I've used it before, is that's a pitch count with your ace pitcher, and like we have 16 events and probably an ace pitcher in each one of those that could have detrimental effect, moving down if they're not. So there's a pitch count on everybody right now, and just watching carefully.
Thank y'all.
Eric, do you have a question?
Yes, please. Since I didn't have the blessing of seeing either of you in person, I never thought I would be in Fayetteville and you guys would be somewhere else in my lifetime. But Chris, I wanted to ask two questions. One, you kind of already touched upon with Kieran, but just how excited were you to see that from him at this stage of the season?
Oh, Karen has been just a stalwart for us for the last few years. He's just a guy that works extremely hard, never has a bad day, never grumpy, always has a smile on his face. And he's just been an unbelievable teammate and somebody to coach. And to see him have that breakthrough run, on Friday was really outstanding. I think there's more in the tank with him, but he's just the consummate competitor and the consummate teammate. He's just a great kid. So it's just wonderful to see him have that breakthrough run.
And then the 4x4 breaking a record that had been around since '85, and obviously being so competitive and such an elite race with Florida and Iowa that I think would both consider themselves national championship contenders. Like, I can't wait to see that building is going to explode at Texas A&M when some of those teams get on the track together. But just, for them to be where they are, right now and not even running in a quote unquote championship race yet, that's got to be really exciting.
Yeah, it was. That was a great race on Friday with those three teams, us, Iowa, and Florida, and then Tennessee right behind us. And if you look at the 5th, 6th, 7th places, I mean, those teams might have qualified as well. But, the prize, Eric, as you know, is to get in. That's a finals only race at the NCAA championship.
Yep.
And the prize is to get into that fast heat.
Yep.
For the most part, that's especially if everybody runs clean. And so to be able to be in the conversation, we're not backing down from Florida, Iowa. We feel like there's a lot more in the tank for us. Jeremy Farr, who led off for us, is coming off an injury, and he's not quite there yet. And yet he did an outstanding job for us on Friday. But we know that he's really a lot better than that. So we feel like we just touched the surface on that. And I guess I don't know if you saw this, but the other cool record we broke was Alistair Craig's record in the 5K. And that was Eamon Kemboy breaking that record out at Washington. So it was a good weekend for us. We flexed our muscles a little bit, and hopefully that's a sign of things to come.
Tough weekend for Alistair Craig, bro. Holy smokes. Between the 3 and the 5. Good Lord.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, head to head, I don't know if there's anybody better than him.
Oh, of course. No, I mean, the fact that it stood that long in the era of, whatever shoes and, just evolution of sport. I mean, it's incredible.
And I'll just go, I know we're so record and qualifying sensitive about everything. And we're looking at all these fast times and all that stuff. Alice's 2 records went down, but I match his record to anybody that broke his records, how many times he's won at the highest level. I mean, won races.
Yep.
So, that's really comes down to, for me at the end, the measurement of a great athlete is, who you beat and when you beat them. And nobody cares about the time. So we're just happy that Alistair was a Razorback and he set the bar high for our guys. And, we're proud of him. Glad he was a hog.
100%. Lance, to transition off what Chris saying and the 4x4, as impressed as I am, with the A, I mean, the fact that you've got people stashed away on as I said to Sean that day when we were sitting side by side, there is no B team at Arkansas. It's like the A and the A- group, but I mean, the fact again that just it kind of is a competition within, but it also gives you opportunities, to play with. I mean, how encouraged are you by the fact that you had 2 teams running that well?
It's a credit to Chris Johnson. I mean, he's just done a fantastic job of developing these young people, and the idea that Shafiqua Maloney, who is probably as heralded as any of our athletes, is not even on that relay, and he had other alternates as well. It's pretty exciting, and we thought that maybe there'd be a little more competition. And that didn't happen after about the first 150 of the leadoff leg, that we were going to run solo, and to be able to run that fast in a solo effort is super exciting. That a couple of teams apparently ran a couple tenths faster on an oversized track that and they hit head to head. So the national meet, if everything stays healthy and moves forward, could be some great performances at the end of the national championships.
Well, like Chris said, the value of being in that last section. I don't think there's any question that you guys will be, and everything can be settled then. And then obviously, since you mentioned Shafiqua, as you often do, you read my mind to the follow-up question. I mean, for her to be at 201, not only on the relay, but now obviously in a flat race, and showing so much progress and potential, because as Sean and I were talking about again that night too, no one's going to tell the story of Athing Mo this year, right? So that race becomes a race where I think that, probably 4 or 5 women feel like that they could go into it and have a chance to win. So for Shafiqua to be there now, can you gauge kind of where you feel like she's at now versus 2021? I
think, she's, what's exciting is mortals will be allowed to win the 800 at the NCAA meet, because that wasn't prevalent or relevant last year, because she's in a different stratosphere. I think we're excited because Shafiqua thinks that she can run with the best of them, and she'll get tested in the prelim, and then obviously you got to make the final, and that will be no easy task. And then the other one that is in her shadow to a degree, but Quinn Owen
Of
has
course.
just done a fantastic job, and she went with us out to the Washington to run the mile, and I think that, you know, she ended up running near a PR, but or definitely an indoor PR, but I think she's super excited to get back to the 800.
Thanks so much, guys.
Anybody else with a question?
Anybody need their nose cleaned? Alyssa, that's amazing.
The things they have with parenthood these days is incredible.
It is.
You don't need half of it.
Yeah, Chris and I are, you know, looking back with envy, going, you know, we had to rough it.
I'd say what she's doing is pretty rough. I mean, they're lucky they didn't have that gadget when you guys had young kids.
Absolutely.
Hey, Lance, I was going to ask, I mean, again, obviously you can only control the 4 women that you put out there. But did you feel any sort of way about having watched the BYU versus Oklahoma State DMR, and, you know, and does it make you feel better? Or are you indifferent?
I think it gave our kids, I mean, because the kids that were out at Washington, boy, they were attentive to that race. I mean, they, you know, usually they kind of lay around and, you know, read or study or whatever. But when that gun went off, they were very present and very aware of what was happening and watching each leg. It was exciting for them to be kind of reconfirmed. Hey, you know, we're 8 seconds faster than these people. That was a very special group. And just like what Chris is going to run this weekend, those are all American caliber kids when they get to, you know, be on one team and run a single performance. That's really exciting.
I think the thing that impresses me, Lance, about your team and about your relays is how well they have run out front by themselves, and that's a confidence level that is unbelievable, and that's the thing that's impressed me about your DMR team and your 4x4 is that they just go out and run, and they put the blinders on, and that's hard to do. It's really hard to do when there's no pacers and all that, and you're out there. And I watched that. I didn't see the 4x4 team. It happens a little bit quicker, but I know that DMR team, when you're out there in that mile and you've got a 20-meter lead and you still run, and they still run the times that they do with not being pushed, freaking impressive. And so yep. And so great job on that. And that's the thing that I see. And you know,
well, we'll do that with the men.
Chris, fingers crossed that everything goes well on Friday. One of my must sees at SECs is you guys in Ole Miss.
Oh, gotcha. I will say this, Eric, as the head coach, the only thing I see and care about is a final score.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, we might win 10-2 or 5-4, but as long as we're in front, that's what matters to me. So yeah, there's going to be a clash there, but you know, we're focused on what we can do and how we do it, and we're focused on winning the meet, and I know that you know, we'll be ready to compete. I will say too that the 3K on Friday. We have Wesley Kiptu coming down. We got Kemboy, and those guys are going to try to run. So, you know, both of those kids need qualifying times, the Iowa State athlete and our athlete, and the field's pretty good. And so we're hoping that Eamon's only run twice right now. And, you know, so I think he's pretty fresh, but I hope he's feeling good on Friday night. So, yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff coming up. We're looking forward to it.